Yeah, thinking is important, isn't it? I mean, you would think that would be without saying, but you take all these factors into play when you're thinking about something as opposed to being told. You know, what conditions you're under, for example, how it affects people, how it affects yourself, how it affects your future. You know, all these different variants of things, and you have to think about stuff. I think I wrote that article called "Regret Able." I don't know if you read that or not, but it was about how not to have regrets. Essentially, they're built into your DNA to want to have them, right? Essentially, and that was about not overanalyzing things, and there are multiple types of regrets, for example, right? And they have to do with thinking about what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give you an example. You know, one regret is that you didn't go get and this is in the article, that you didn't get the fries when you were at McDonald's, right? It's a small regret, but you can go back and change it,
Right.
and then there's regrets that you can't go back and change. When you get into thinking that people aren't analyzing appropriately, and or that analysis takes too long, right? And then you're in a position of paralyzation.
Analysis paralysis.
Right, where you've done nothing.
You think about it over and over, but you never make a decision.
Yeah, so studies show that if you engage in regrets, you know, too frequently, that actually has a much larger impact on your psyche than it does had you gone for it, if you will.
Yep, and I think that actually ties into your health too, because
certainly
it will drag you down. And it sounds like it's a component of basically the rational mind. And that was a concept that I think I'm stealing from Peterson because it's heavily on my mind. But it's like the rationalization. You have a rational part of your brain that sits there and just keeps hammering away at you. And that's where the regrets come from, right? Because you're looking at it and you're analyzing it, and you may not even be consciously thinking about it, but that regret is back there.
Oh yeah, and that's why they had different types of regrets. Essentially, the one where you could go back, you could turn around a mile out and go back and get the fries, and then say, "Okay, I've satisfied that quote unquote, small regret." And then there are those where you wanted to maybe get that job, or you should have done this thing, or you wanted to do this thing and you never did do it, right? And that's not a regret that you can return to. The article was more or less about how not to have regrets and how to analyze things a little bit more diligently and understand that you're in that pattern of thought processes at that time. You know, it's decision making, right? Thinking is in part about decision making, right? So, and thinking for yourself, but there are, in some cases, even as you said, subconsciously, hundreds, if not thousands, of variables that go through your mind in order to make a decision or not. Even what is seemingly the smallest decision that could impact your life. There are larger things, obviously, like asking somebody to marry you, or which are going to impact your life for quite some time, if not infinitely, right? They have to be pretty well thought out, but not overanalyzed, because none of us have a crystal ball.
Nope.
To look into the future and see how that's impacting you. And it was about actually how to get off your ass and do something, essentially. Meaning, go ahead and take the risk every now and then. Otherwise, you're never going to know what could have happened.
Right. But I think regrets, you have to hold on to some of those, because at some point, I think, don't you reach a psychopathy, I think is the word?
Well, I mean, the idea of having regrets is, or not having any regrets.
Because if you have none,
is that you're psychopathic,
right?
Right. That you have.
That's the extreme.
That's the extreme. That you have no remorse. That you have no thought processes. That you have no. That you have no emotion about it. I'd like to think that I have no regrets. Meaning, I look back, and it's not because I'm psychopathic. It means that I look back and I say the decisions that we've made, and you can't go back in history and change them. You can't.
No.
You know, I'm not going to get into therapy again like I did last week, but I mean, I've been through some pretty horrible things. Right?
Yeah, where's that couch I ordered?
Yeah,
It's supposed to be right over here.
But that have affected other people, myself included, but other people as well. And you can't go back and change it. So what is, at what point does it? I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but what can you do about it at this point?
Well, there was an article that I actually read about leadership where people who have psychopathic or I want to call it antisocial, but that's not the right term. But it's the people who tend to be more psychopathic tend to be in roles of leadership, and not throwing rocks at you. But it's
I could be. I don't know.
Well, I think that there's a balance, right? Life is about balance, and especially when you're talking about regrets and your life and things that have happened and things that were in your control and out of your control. It makes you the sum total of everything that you've experienced where you're at right now.
All right, so let's use somebody as an example because a lot of the audience doesn't know us personally. So, and nor do they know Donald Trump personally. And this is not a political discussion.
Nope.
Okay, so let's put that to the side, whatever your politics are. Do you think that he has a component of psychopathic tendencies or not? Because obviously, regardless of your politics, you have to put that to the side for a minute, because saying that we're all binary and Republican and or Democrat is in and of itself bizarre, right?
That's just polarization.
Well, it is a polarization that's extremely hurtful to the ways that we live, but nonetheless. This is a guy who says whatever he wants, whenever he wants, pretty much gets away with pretty much everything, right? His style is very abrupt, forthcoming. That's interesting. A lot of the CEOs that I've met over the years don't seem to be all there. I've met dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of them over the years. They all seem to be a little bit off. I could be one of them, potentially.
What are you thinking, like autistic in that sense?
No, not on the spectrum or anything like that. But they definitely take more risks, undoubtedly. They've taken more risks than most people.
Well,
and they certainly haven't all worked out.
That's what gets you there, right? Is the willingness to take risk.
Well, at the end of that article, regret able, it basically says, go ahead and, you're not going to get big green signs that say, go ahead and take the risk.
Go.
Right. What you do is you get warning signs that say, don't take the risk. Stop here. Watch out for this cliff, so on and so forth. But what you don't get is, a go sign, a green light that says, go ahead and take that risk. It might actually just be worth it now. Did they always work out? Of course not. Now look at what Donald Trump has done. Right. I mean, since people would like to put him into a corner and say he's a reality TV star, but that's not the reality. The reality is he's successful, arguably successful businessman who went bankrupt many times. I'll go ahead and say it, but it still didn't stop him from going and going and going and going and going and going and so on and so forth.
Right.
To where he's still wealthier than most people, and then running for president, which he was asked back in the 80s if he was going to do. And he put it to the side for a little while, waited his turn.
He said if he was needed, if he thought he was needed, he might think about it. He would consider it.
Yeah, no, that was back from the 80s when he was sort of a hot topic. This is well before. I think that this... the millennial generation has to recall or may not understand that he was a successful businessman well before he was on what was the show called?
Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine that they see him as the Apprentice guy, which is to say, why is a reality TV guy the president? But he had a 30-year history prior to that.
Wasn't he in Home Alone as well, too? Sorry.
The first one.
Yeah, I think so.
Was him doing what?
That's right.
He was.
What was he doing in Home Alone?
He gave
That's
Kevin
right.
directions.
He
or
gave him
something like
directions.
that.
That's interesting. I totally forgot about that.
His claim to fame.
I don't recall the scene where he was in Home Alone.
Yeah, he was wandering around New York, the little kid, and he was like
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, Macaulay. Yeah. Well, no, we could talk about regrets there, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. He actually cleaned up a little bit.
He's gone back and forth a few times, I think. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, he asked Donald Trump for directions or something, and he just
Yeah. Well, he was quite famous well before The Apprentice.
No, he's built some major. He had a major influence in Atlantic City. Atlantic City was failing when he got in there. And of course, he's had some questionable deals, I think, in the press and maybe in reality in Atlantic City. He's had some failures there, but, that's the thing. You may have a regret, but they don't get hung up about it. They keep moving forward.
Oh, he keeps jamming right through about it. He doesn't even care what people think.
Now, is that almost like the same mindset of, say, like Special Forces or something of that nature, where you're just not giving up? It doesn't matter.
I'm not sure that Donald Trump is actually has an awareness of his self-being. Does that make sense?
Really?
No.
I think that would be hard for me to imagine, but
meaning
he's all about everything outside.
I'm not sure that he is aware. I think he lives in a different world.
Well, yeah, money will do that,
right? You got to think about it. People have been kissing his ass for 40 years plus,
or after his ass.
He's
made some enemies over the years.
Yeah, so he's made some enemies, but it's just like that's politics, right? You're not going to please everybody.
No.
So he's used to that part, right?
He's dealt with unions. He's dealt with Teamsters. He's dealt with, he's dealt with even more powerful people than himself.
Oh, sure.
When
I say self-awareness, when he makes decisions or when he tweets something out, I'm not confident that it is, as well thought out as it seems to be.
Really?
No.
So I could go two extremes on that. People would say, oh, he's crazy. He's absolutely a lunatic. And then there's another part of me that says, this is a script. I almost feel like it's a script. But it's a different kind of script than we're used to because everybody else has been so obfuscating the truth. Back to that again, is that, you can't how do you know when a politician is lying? Their lips are moving, right? So.
Yeah, I got to believe that he is just not that. He's, and I mean this respectfully somewhat. I just don't think he's that bright, and that might actually be helpful to him. I'm not saying that Hillary was any better.
No. And we're not talking politics.
We're not
right?
talking politics. I'm talking about an individual person.
But the resilience. So you've got resilience and intent.
That's why it can all blow right by him, because he doesn't care what you think. Do I think it's a grand plan? No,
maybe
not really. Not really, because think about the debates, right? Not only could he not answer anything pretty much directly, I think it was not necessarily purposeful to say, I don't want to tell you my plan. I simply don't think he knew what the plan was. Meaning, yeah, I want the economy to be better.
Right.
So he'll pick up, a couple few topics to say, it's the same old shit, right? Build jobs.
Generally.
We'll build jobs. America be great again. America's great again. America be great again. And then you got Hillary over there wearing her, beanbag chair. What? I really think this is like the California issue that we talked about a few weeks back, meaning splitting California off into 3 parts, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now, is it sensical or not? They're going to have a vote on it in November. They left it up to the people, right, to make that decision.
Doesn't mean anything.
Well, the point being is I think sometimes people just like to be part of history.
Right.
And I'm not sure that Donald Trump got elected because he was that great. I think it's because a lot of people don't like Hillary Clinton. That's number one. Because she's so polarizing. Number two, because she's so seemingly so calculated in her desire to become president.
Mm-hmm.
And third, she's just comes off as disingenuous.
Absolutely.
And she wears bags.
Well, let's think about when you said...
I say that because I saw her on the thing the other day. She looked like she was wearing a bag.
You see when she fell down the stairs in India? She was out there with Uma. She like tripped down the stairs again.
Again, well, once you start falling downstairs, you shouldn't be president. Well, maybe. I don't know.
But, no, going back to what you were saying about Trump and then his ability to... talking about his inability, I should say, to answer those questions. But when he answered those questions, and I'm not debating it, it's not politics, but his intent behind those things, he's got a list of things that he's running through, and he's staying true to them. How many presidents have you seen in the last 50 years that have laid out what they were going to do and actually did it 6 months into their term? He's 2 years into his term, and he's still following those points. I'm going to make jobs better. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do, throw in North Korea, throw in Iran. We're not going to be the world's, piggy bank.
Right.
He's sticking to it. That's an amazing thing in and of itself.
I'm not disputing that he's not sticking to it. It is unusual, for example, I think it came out today that he was going to have a chat with the Iranians. The policy of the U.S. over the last 60 years with North Korea has been not to talk to them at all, right? Unless it's through Switzerland or somebody like that, right? Or so he is providing something different for sure, and I think that was the third or fourth point I was going to say, which is I think people are just so sick of politicians in general. I mean, in Congress's approval rating is, like 2.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They're so tired, just like yourself. Like, man, you're so tired of hearing the same nonsense. I think people are willing to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just try something else. It's not even Trump. It's just something else.
Right.
Now, if he continues to do what he's doing, in terms of following up on what he said he's going to do, and the economy stays as is, he'll get reelected.
That's probably a fair assumption.
Because going back to earlier points, the Democrats don't really have anybody hot right now.
Unless they bring The Rock out.
Well,
Oprah.
No, there's three. There are two people that they're actually talking.
Oprah and The Rock.
Ooh.
Well, actually,
there's a ticket.
That was discussed as a ticket. Did you know that? Oprah and The Rock. Who would be in charge, though?
Oprah.
Oprah.
Of course she
Oprah's
would.
going to run the country.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect platform.
Okay, let's remember where Oprah started. She was interviewing midgets. Okay. She had to make her way up the ranks. I don't think that she was always Oprah's Book of the Week. And why is it that she gets fat and skinny every 6 months?
Less cocaine.
I don't get that woman. I just don't get it. Talk about sheep and followers.
You get a new car. Everyone gets a new car. Man, okay. I want a new car.
Yeah, I want you to go back to her earlier days, and she'll remind people where she came from.
Basically, kind of like
she's like a Jerry Springer.
I was going to say Jerry Springer, exactly.
That's what she was doing.
That's kind of what she was doing. Yeah.
How she's the Oracle now, I have no idea. Right? And Dwayne The Rock Johnson, for God's sakes, love your movies and all, but get out of the way.
Jumanji was actually very entertaining.
He's a good guy. No problem. He's very loved, very liked, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
It doesn't qualify you to be the president. I can't think of one person. Let's go through it here. Reagan, who was an actor. Well, hang tight, because I like Reagan. But Bush was a CIA. At least he had the credentials. Probably he was a CIA director. And all this kind of stuff before that. But he was kind of weak in the knees, a little bit like his son Jeb. And then he won. No, he won once, and then Clinton took over. And believe it or not, I'm going to take the politics out of this again. The last time we had no national debt was under the Clinton administration. We had a surplus during that time frame.
But how did that occur?
Well, he went under the Monica Lewinsky. That's how that occurred. She said, I'll fix the debt if... No, I don't know.
It was all the different things that Reagan had done, and it took that long for it to
that's the problem with politics. Everybody's going to say, well, Trump's success is based on Obama administration policies.
Right.
And they took 4 or 5 years.
And that's why you got to cut that stuff off.
But that's why you got to say, look, it has nothing to do with this or that, right? So maybe Reagan's administration, which wasn't good at the beginning, but ended up flourishing towards the end.
They did.
To 84 to 88.
Yeah, I was too young to really understand politics at the time.
I was in it from the get-go.
Yeah.
I was like Jimmy, even prior to Jimmy Carter, Lyndon Johnson, I got involved early.
I remember Carter pissing me off as a kid.
He's a
when he started getting in that fireside chat and told us, hey, use less energy and put on another sweater. I was like, you arrogant son of a bitch.
Yeah, he was a little peanut. I don't know what that. He's still alive.
Yeah, he is. He's still kicking around. But he's like, no, I'm not going to say it.
He's like the Dennis Rodman of politics.
My name's Jimmy Carter.
I don't know about that guy.
I'm just a humble peanut farmer.
Yeah.
From Georgia.
How do you do? Can you do a Reagan impression?
Well, I don't know. Nancy didn't tell me what to say, but I forgot what I was saying.
He was.
I haven't done Reagan in a long time.
He was funny. He was funny at times.
Reagan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had a sense of humor.
I heard he kind of goofed around quite a bit behind the scenes. I mean, his jelly beans. Anyway, I don't think Trump's all there. That doesn't mean it's bad presidency. It doesn't mean the outcomes aren't good. I'm just telling you, the guy's a bit of a. I don't know what's going on in that brain of his, but I mean, somehow it works. I mean, how do you get away with saying all that stuff and be like, yeah, so what?
The one that blew my mind was, my button's bigger than yours.
My button. Oh, yeah, he did say
when
that.
He tweeted that to Kim, and then he said, but I'm not saying you're fat either. That was like a Kardashian tweet storm war. Yeah. It was hilarious. I fell out of my chair laughing.
Kim Jong-un was standing there watching the translations, sort of like, what is he saying? Mm-hmm. They were paranoid about even being here. I don't know. It could end up being a good presidency, a bad presidency. Either way, I don't think he's. I don't think he has his full faculties with him. That's all I'm saying. It could be a good presidency, turn out to be good things, but even the wall was an issue today. Who's the one that said it? Bill Burr. I'm obsessed with Bill Burr lately. He said, even if we build the wall, he goes, have you ever been from Mexico to El Paso? It's like 16,000 miles. He goes, by the time we're done with the wall, I'll want to jump over it. I don't know if we'll actually get that done or not, or even how effective. I mean, that's not even really an effective way to do it. Still got to patrol a 1,600-mile wall. They should be using drones and other kinds of satellite security.
I imagine they're going to probably build in a lot of that stuff for $16 trillion or whatever it's going to cost.
Oh, he said he's going to shut down the government today if they don't get the wall passed or whatever.
Well, there he is. That's on his list of things. I think that was up near the top.
I'm not stealing content again. I'll say Bill Burr said this. He goes, how many Home Depots you got to stop at to build that level of wall? That's a lot of Home Depots along the way.
It would be ironic if he picked up the guys from Home Depot to help build the wall.
Yeah. Bunch of guys on a corner with signs ready for work. Just pick them up in the corners. Illegal aliens will probably actually end up building it. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Trump's a knucklehead.
He is. He is in a way.
He is a knucklehead, but so's Hillary. So what? Okay, so the only two people I've heard that could potentially are Clinton again. My God, that woman needs to give up. And what's his face? Obama's VP.
Biden?
Yeah, Biden.
The groper?
Who I sincerely is groper. Is he a groper?
Oh man. No. Well, no, I won't.
I think he's a good guy. He's just not a good leader.
He's like that creepy uncle.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody's got
he just
one.
gets a little too close to the kids, and
A little too handsy.
it's like, hey,
Yeah, snatch him away.
you need to step off there, Uncle Biden.
Yeah, Uncle Biden, what are you doing again? No, you cannot change his diaper.
Oh man, yeah. There's that level of trust I got in that guy.
Yeah, and then I've heard Oprah and The Rock, which is like, what do you call that?
Well, I think The Rock would be kind of like Idiocracy.
Rock.
Who remember the president from Idiocracy? He was a muscle builder guy, and he was the running the president. He was the president. Oh, you got to see that. If you haven't seen Idiocracy, you got to see that.
You're a movie, right?
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's like a vision of the future.
I haven't seen that one yet. Who's in it? Leonardo DiCaprio, your favorite?
No, but the guy kind of looks like Leonardo DiCaprio a little bit. So there is some great stuff in that movie. Yeah, absolutely. Because
It's comedy.
it is very much, and sometimes it's so stupid it's hard to watch. But then when you kind of back off from it and you kind of think about it a little bit afterwards, you go, "Holy God, we're so close to that." You know,
Yeah, write that down. I'll have to watch that movie.
where disputes are solved with monster truck rallies. That's all I'm going to leave you with no spoilers beyond that, because that is the part that will have tears in your eyes.
Well, shouldn't everything be coordinated that way and decided by a monster truck rally? Maybe that's why we should run the country. Probably not being done any better right now anyway.
When he busts out of jail, that is probably the best move I've ever seen.
Yeah,
So
you can't give it away.
rent it tonight. Rent it.
Oh,
my
am I gonna go to
God.
Blockbuster?
In my day. Oh,
They still
gotta
have
head down to Blockbuster.
Family Video around here.
Yeah, they do. I've noticed a couple of those. I was like, wow, do they even get people in there? And there's people in there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is though. I think they call it Family Video.
Those are like banjos and
Camping and stuff like that. And then who was the other one that was going to run potentially? Oh, Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pretty smart guy, obviously.
Hmm.
On the Democrat side. I didn't know he
Okay.
was a Democrat. Maybe we should put Cuban with The Rock. I don't know why these guys even run.
that would be misogynistic.
It's like
Too many men.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Come on, you got to balance that out.
Fine. Oprah and Oprah. Oprah and what's her best friend's
Oprah and
name?
her clone.
Gail King.
Yeah.
They're both from Connecticut.
Dr. Phil.
What a doofus.
We've been concerned about, people thinking more.
Why don't we do Maury Povich?
Oprah and Dr. Phil?
No, Dr. Phil and Maury Povich. You are not the father. I love that.
Back to DNA.
You're not the father. I actually saw Jerry Springer in a mall one time.
I worked with a guy that was actually on the Jerry Springer show.
Anybody?
He would
Lord.
not tell me
What's-
the whole story, but
What's happened to your life if you're on Jerry Springer?
Yeah. Is that show even still out?
I think it is.
I thought Steve took over, the security guard guy.
oh, I have no idea.
Well, I'm not at home to watch it all day, but
No, we have jobs to go do.
Maury Povich and who did we say? Oh, Dr. Phil.
Oh.
That'd be bizarre. Throw Connie Chung in there. That's who he's married to.
Secretary of State.
That's Secretary of State. That's who he's married to,
Mm-hmm.
Which is unusual. Do you know Bill O'Reilly came from? Do you remember him? He used to be in a current. Was it a current affair?
Yeah, he
His
did
first
start-
gig. His first gig was like not first, but well known was. It was Inside Edition.
Yeah.
Like a current affair type of thing. I think Maury Povich actually did a current affair.
No, I don't know that, but
All these
I
guys
remember Bill
come
O'Reilly.
from that trash TV stuff.
Yeah. Now it's going to be like TMZ is going to be our next level of
Yeah, who's the
news
guy?
reporters.
Who's the guy on TMZ?
Oh,
What's that
his
guy's
name?
name? He's like bouncing around drinking his straw the whole time.
No, that guy was
Harvey
on
something.
that guy
Harvey.
was on Judge Judy.
He's a little creepy too.
Who's on Judge Judy?
The Harvey guy.
He's actually, he goes back, way back if you look at his history. I think he didn't pop up in TMZ one day, stand there on the end of his cubicle talking to a bunch of teenagers about who did what.
Investigative reporters.
Harvey Levin. Yeah, but what was his history though? He did something before TMZ.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a legit lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's like, just hanging.
Judge Judy and TMZ.
Why are you talking about Judge Judy?
He's on Judge Judy. He's the
Doing
guy.
what?
He's the guy who stands outside and talks to all the people.
He still does that?
I don't know. If
He was at one
he
point.
Was,
He
yeah.
was at one point.
Yeah.
I miss all those old school game shows.
Oh, they have a whole channel that runs those now. The old match game. If you remember that from the 70s. I'm a little older than you. I forget that.
What was the one that oh my God. I gotta forget all the Newlywed Game.
Oh, that was good.
Which one?
That was
The
good.
Newlywed Game.
Oh, the Newlywed Game, yeah.
Where the guy bring them on and, they'd only been wed for a couple weeks or something.
Yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Asking questions about
When you make whoopee.
yeah, that's what he called it. When you make whoopee. And people are like, whoopee?
The Hollywood Squares was always an interesting one. I kept waiting for somebody to just fall out of the top of that thing.
Yeah, like Joan Rivers. She was always on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't get her out of that square.
Didn't they bring that back?
And Gilbert
show?
Gottfried was always on there. Yeah, no, it's still on.
I think it's still on.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I think it's still on. But they don't, Joan Rivers is dead and Gilbert Gottfried is still making that face.
I don't think he can stop making that face.
I think he's stuck like that.
He's the whole reason why your parents told you, don't make that face. Your face will get stuck like that. He just totally ignored his parents.
Him and Jay Leno were good friends, and I saw him on it. It's weird to see him talk normal.
Really?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
He does talk normal. Yeah.
Yeah, he ended up losing that Aflac commercial. I think he said something that got somebody ruffled up.
What?
I can't remember. He pissed off somebody.
What did he say? Go fuck a duck?
Something like that. I don't know what it was, but yeah, they ripped him out as a spokesman, and then no more Gilbert Gottfried Aflac.
God, you just get nailed for everything now.
Well, yeah, I mean that was.
I don't know what he did, so maybe I don't know, but
yeah, that was like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. That was a while ago before everything got really ratcheted
because
down.
he had that whole Aflac thing going, right?
Oh, he had that nailed down. He must have been making boatloads of cash off of that one.
Yeah, I'm sure he was, and he was pretty popular
Yeah.
at one point. Joan Rivers. Who else was in the Hollywood Squares all the time? It's like the same people.
There was a guy with the glasses, and he used to be on Johnny Carson every so often. He was kind of flamboyant. I'm trying to think of his name.
Not Jim McMahon.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Nelson Riley.
Yeah, he was like the center square.
I said Jim McMahon. I was thinking Ed McMahon.
Billy Crystal was on there for a while, I remember.
Yeah. I like Billy Crystal. I used to, when he did the Academy Awards and stuff, that was entertaining.
He's done some good movies.
It's kind of like old school entertainment to me.
Yeah.
Now they got like, Chris Rock doing it. It was funny too, but it lost its...
You know who was really good was Drew Carey when they had him take over The Price is Right.
He's still doing that with that big long mic.
Yeah. Is The Price is Right still on?
Yeah.
Okay. And is Drew still doing it?
Yeah.
I think he's still doing it. He got like a 50-year contract. Because they had
that was a good replacement. Because Drew Carey, I don't know, I can't help it, but just his shows, his comedy, the writing he does. I mean, he writes some pretty decent stuff.
Yeah. What was the original show that he was in? Was he had his own comedy series in Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland, well,
It was called something. I can't remember what it was called.
I'm thinking of this theme song, Cleveland Rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Cleveland Rocks.
The Drew Carey Show.
The Drew. Okay.
Duh.
Yeah.
After that, he did the.
There was like
the
that stand-up
impromptu.
one, the impromptu. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty funny, and then he went off into The Price is Right. Probably just got to see he got a killer deal.
I bet you he's still writing a lot of stuff in the background too.
Yeah, you'd be surprised who's like behind the scenes.
He was actually on Johnny Carson.
What was
I
he?
saw an old Johnny Carson where he showed up on there.
I didn't think he was that old.
Yeah. In the early 90s when Johnny was going off, when he was starting to retire. And Drew Carey was actually on there. He was hilarious.
I mean, how much money do you think he makes? A couple million a year?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I guess that can't be too much. I mean, but the guy who preceded him was, that old guy who was beloved by everybody, and he finally retired.
Oh, Bob Barker.
Bob Barker. I don't know if he died or not. I think he's still here. But
I think he finally died.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Finally.
He died with like 3 supermodels.
That's all he
In a
wanted
case
to
of
do.
Viagra.
That's all he wanted to do. He was always a little touchy with the ladies there.
Yeah, that kind of came out at the end, didn't it?
He wouldn't make it in today's environment.
Bob Barker's still alive.
Yeah, I told you.
No.
Yeah. All right, let me guess his age. Hold on.
He's in the jar with Bin Laden.
He's got to be like 91.
94.
94.
94.
That bastard. That's what you get for just spinning balls all day. Wow. Yeah. But I think he retired because they were like, all right, we need they needed a succession plan essentially.
I think Janice was spinning his balls for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What about what's his face on Wheel of Fortune? I used to have a magazine with what's her face on it.
Oh,
Vanna White.
Vanna White, and you can remember her name, but you can't remember.
Pat Sajak.
Right?
Well, I
Sajak.
didn't get a Playboy of Pat Sajak.
Sorry, I missed that.
And listen, I'm not making this stuff up.
Hate
She was
to see
actually in Playboy. She was Vanna White. That was like the hot thing to do back then. She looks the same. Probably not up close, but
Plastic surgery.
it was like 40 years ago.
She's probably pulled tighter than Joan Rivers was.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she was kind of funny too. She was obnoxious, but
Joan Rivers?
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But she'd pretty much tell it how it is too. She's just kind of like Trump.
She was blunt.
She's like the woman Trump. She's run around saying whatever she wants and get away with it.
She did.
You gotta love it.
She didn't hold back.
Yeah. Pat Sajak, how old is he? That guy must be so bored. Spin the fucking wheel. I mean, for how long?
That's like working at a place for 30. Well, how many years has Wheel of Fortune been going on? I mean, I'm thinking like 30, 40 years.
Yeah, 30.
Somewhere in there.
In the 80s.
Pat's 71.
He didn't look 71.
71.
And how old's Vanna White?
They go to the same plastic surgeon.
Oh. Wonder who their successors will be.
Vanna's 61.
She's 61.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they allow her to do that in this environment. Here, go up there, put on a pretty dress, and turn those letters for us. And Pat just stands there like a dummy. But he probably gets paid like $10 million a year to do it.
I could do that.
For $10 million a year. Yeah.
I'd even go to the plastic surgeon and have the wrinkles taken out for that.
Yeah, some good game shows. What do you look at? What do you got? You trying to tell me something?
No.
We're at war with Iran. Is that what you said?
No. That's
It
not what
happened
I
from the time we walked into the studio, too. The nukes have started flying.
All right, so we'll close it out with the initial thought, which obviously went sideways pretty quick like it usually does on this show. If you had to select, I'll give you two options because picking one is hard. You know what I mean by war, so I don't want to explain it. I'm talking balls to the wall,
All out.
all out war.
Not a police action.
Not nuclear war. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
Who's our next big conflict with? We had it with Iraq twice in a row. Afghanistan. That's sort of our last three. Iraq in the 90s, Iraq again in 2000s, and then Afghanistan in the 2000s, and then, we've got little conflicts here and there, but if you had to pick one.
Surprise candidate from left field, Russia. End up fighting with Russia.
Over what? The fact that they keep impeding on everybody else's country, or the fact that they stuck a flag in the North Pole and called it their land.
Yes.
Because they're like that.
Yeah, they just keep building up that list of,
Crappy things to do.
crappy things that they do. Because they were in Syria, and I think we whacked like 300 of their special forces not too long ago. Oops. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Those high-precision guided missiles.
Oh, that's German.
It doesn't mean anything.
I don't think that actually means anything.
What's that?
Unterschleichen. Either way, it's German. And if it's offensive to the audience, I don't know what it means. So Russia and who else?
Let's see. Who would jump in with Russia? Whoever they could conscript from any of their...
The Iranians would. But yeah, they'd be so squashed, though, by everybody. Why even bother?
I think the Israelis would mop up the Iranians pretty quick.
Yeah. I don't know.
I wouldn't mess with the Israelis. Man, they're
Well, they have their own capabilities that they don't admit to and all this kind of stuff because we're helping them do it. I don't know. I'm not sure who we go at war with directly. I think it's probably going to be an assist type of thing, i.e.
proxy.
When Iraq went into what country?
Kuwait.
To Kuwait back in the early 90s.
I got all your oil.
Yeah, and we shoved them out of there pretty quick. I think it'll be something like that. And the Russians are kind of asking for it. They just, I think Crimea was another country that they...
And Georgia. They're still messing with Georgia.
Wow, they took over.
Yeah.
They took over. But then you get the whole, was it Tokyo issue? No, Taiwan. Am I thinking Taiwan? Taiwan. Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
The Chinese and the Taiwan topic, which I don't know if Trump is willing to...
No, he's got China kind of on his side, right? He's not going to ruffle China's feathers.
Other than
with the trade.
With the trade, I don't think he's going to... Taiwan's probably begging for him to get involved, but I don't think it's worth the time.
Well, the trade will be a distraction. I think Taiwan will get a little relief from all the trade sanctions.
I bet you it's probably going to be something up in the northern horn of Africa. Like a Somalian type thing. Not even a war necessarily, just one of those conflicts you just can't seem to get away from. There's so much dirt up there.
What about Venezuela?
I thought about that because if you got to think about why we start wars, or not we, or whoever starts wars, it's usually over
communism.
It's not totalitarianism. Generally there's something underneath it, though. I.e. oil or finance or whatever.
And Venezuela's got oil.
Yeah, and I thought about that, but what's his face is somebody got reelected down there about 2 weeks ago.
Was it Maduro?
A new guy. So the guy who is my God, I am just a loss today.
So they got a new guy down there.
Yeah, they did. Well, the other guy died quite some time ago.
Oh.
Hugo Chavez.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Chavez
was talking smack.
So who was Maduro? Was he somewhere else?
I think there's somebody else got. Mexico got a new governor as well.
Okay.
A new president as well, and so did I think Venezuela.
Okay.
I could be speaking completely.
Well, hopefully he helps out those Venezuelan people because that's just a FUBAR situation down there.
Yeah,
you got people starving to death and.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
That's crazy.
It's terrible,
and it's causing problems in the other countries bordering them. You got Colombia,
Argentina is down there.
Colombia, Peru.
Yeah,
they're all right in there in that same area.
Yeah, it was Hugo Chavez that you're thinking about that caused all those. He was equally as bold as Trump. Right?
Yeah, well, he kicked us out of there. He said, "All right, we're taking over all the oil platforms. Buy America. Screw you." And then he squandered all that oil.
Yeah, no, he did, and that country's in the dirt too.
I mean, they could be a very prosperous country down there if they would have done that and done it right, rather than line their own pockets and the pockets of all their friends, which is kind of that whole.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
South America is a dangerous place to be too. So if we're not going to go north of Canada, it's going to be either South America or I would say Venezuela is the most of conflict down there with us at this juncture. Soviets, if that's what you want to call them, the Russians. I don't know. I just don't see it getting to that point. They'd have to really piss us off.
Right.
And then I think it's probably going to be in Africa, and more like a conflict, not a war. Some Somalian type of thing. Start hijacking boats again.
Well, there's a lot of unrest in South Africa, again, where they're killing the farmers and doing all that stuff, and they're going to end up starving to death very shortly. If they kill all the farmers, you got no food. It's like going back to the concept of thinking. People don't think. It's like, oh, wait, we're going to kill all the farmers because they're land hoarders or whatever the heck the reason is, if you want to call it racism or whatever. And they kill all the farmers, and then they sit around and look at each other and go, oh, wait, we don't have any food.
Yeah,
it's like we're not thinking this through.
Yeah, that could be a problem. But, obviously there's been a lot of, internal conflict in South Africa for a long time due to
it's never stopped.
Due to its racism. And we could get into that another time.
Yeah, but save that.
So I guess there really is no answer, huh?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Do you have anybody? Do you think we might go to war with in closing?
Oh, I don't know. I think Kirk might be right with the Russians, but we'll see.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
we'll
that
see.
would get out of control really quick. It would have to be like contained. Over a particular territory or something.
Mm-hmm.
Over Crimea or over Georgia or over something, and the war takes place in that particular small zone, and that's it, and then we agree to stop it, because the moment someone starts, threatening to pop off a nuke,
all bets are off.
All bets are off then, because we're the two that have the most. If it's my understanding in closing as well, that they're also building up their nuclear capability again.
Right.
And they actually have more than we do now.
Uranium one.
Yeah. Something to
A topic for some other time.
Topic for next time. All right. Good seeing you again.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Kirk.
Good talking to you. Woof woof.
We could still be on.
Still recording.
All right. God, this is